And probably the biggest opening game throughout all of college football. Huge storylines, former Georgia defensive coordinator going over to be the head coach. Georgia's losing a whole bunch of starters on both sides of the ball. So we're going to get into our preview and prediction. Drew, just go ahead and kick us off with, big news, big storyline. Obviously, Dan Lanning going to head coach at the Oregon Ducks, and then, get into your preview and prediction from there.
Yeah, Dan Lanning's obviously a big loss for Georgia. I mean, the dude was a terrific defensive coordinator for the couple years he was there, and he's taken over an Oregon team that was just under Mario Cristobal, and his philosophy kind of transitioned them from an offensive mind to more of a defensive mind. So I think Dan Lanning's going to pick up in a pretty good spot. Team's pretty defensive heavy. I mean, they used to be under Chip Kelly, and the old Chip Kelly days, Oregon, it was offense and more offense, and it's kind of weird watching Oregon nowadays, just kind of playing more traditional football, if you will. But Georgia versus Oregon, definitely one of the biggest season opener games for week one. I'm really excited for it, but can we just go ahead and just agree that why are they playing this in Mercedes-Benz? I think this game could be so much better if they played it in Athens, or if they scheduled a home and home. I'm so sick and tired of these neutral site games. Anyways, that's besides the point. We're here to talk about the preview and prediction. Georgia on offense, returning Stetson Bennett. Obviously, we all know what Stetson Bennett is and what he can do, and I expect him to improve even more this year. He's returning Georgia's returning all their wide receivers. As far as running backs go, they're returning Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton. Obviously, they lost Zamir White and James Cook, their main two running backs from last year, but Georgia's absolutely loaded at the running back position. They have never had much of an issue in filling in roles. As far as running backs go, both these players have had a lot of carries through their career. Kendall Milton's a little bit of a question mark just because he's been hurt a lot of his career, and hopefully he can come back healthy. And when he does play at 100%, he has been very dangerous, and hopefully he can play a big role for Georgia this year. As far as defense goes, they're returning a lot of their secondary, pretty much all their secondary, Keely Ringo, and just all those other guys. I think they're going to be a lot better this year, a lot more experienced this year compared to going into last year. They had a lot of question marks at the defensive backs. Defensive front, you're returning Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, those guys, and a couple others that have had a lot of experience. And Jalen Carter, to me, is replacing Jordan Davis. And in my personal opinion, I think he's better than Jordan Davis. Yes, Jordan Davis was good, but I mean, let's be real. As good as he was, he got a lot of attention based on his size alone, his athleticism. Dude's a monster, don't get me wrong, but I think Jalen Carter is honestly better, and I'm expecting him to have a tremendous season for Georgia. As far as question marks go, the defensive position this year, it's going to be the inside linebacker, which is kind of weird to say because Georgia usually is loaded the inside linebacker, and they usually have guys in there with plenty of experience, but losing to Kobe Dean and a couple other linebackers there, it's just going to be a question mark. I don't think it really should be much of a concern. They recruit at the highest level when it comes to defense and linebackers, so whoever they put in there is going to be just as talented, if not more talented, without a doubt. It's just going to be a matter of getting that game experience in. The opening line for this game is 17.5, or it was. I don't know if it still is as I'm recording this at the moment. But 17.5 is still pretty high in my opinion. Yes, I think Georgia's a better team than Oregon. I think everyone can agree on that. They're much more talented. They recruit better, and it's night and day when you take the top, cream of the crop of the SEC compared to the Pac-12. 17.5 points is still a lot, though, especially for a Week 1 matchup. I mean, you just don't know what team's going to show up. These teams have had months to prepare for each other. You don't know who is going to be preparing better than the other. With that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and get kind of my prediction on what I think is going to happen. I haven't even talked about Oregon yet. They returned Bo Nix, and obviously we've talked about Dan Lanning, defensive-minded coach. Bo Nix better not do what he did last year against Georgia. He has got to find ways to scramble without running backwards 20 yards every single time. I mean, if you watch the Georgia-Auburn game last year, this dude was running around with the chicken with his head cut off. It was absolutely unreal how much he was running backwards 10, 15, 20 yards to avoid pressure. And if I'm Georgia this year, I'm planning to do the same thing. Hopefully, as a Georgia fan, I'm hoping Bo Nix does exactly what he is seen to do, and that's just run around and just make a play with his legs. And when he did that last year against Georgia, everything just fell apart. So Georgia's got to send pressure on him, and I think they will. Like I said, they're still loaded at the defensive front. They still got some very talented linebackers with a lot of speed. I expect Bo Nix to be running around a lot again. 17.5 points, going back to that. I just don't know if Georgia's going to cover that. I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all can see where I'm going. I think Georgia is going to win. And I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Georgia won this game by more than 17 points. Georgia's is definitely 17 points better than Oregon, but it's a week one matchup. There's just no telling what to expect. You don't know how rusty they could be, especially coming off a national title. There could be a national title hangover. I don't know if Kirby Smart's going to allow that. But I'm just going to go ahead and say Georgia, I don't know if they're going to cover the 17.5, but give me Georgia, obviously, for the outright win.
So, yeah, a lot of the stuff you said is true. I think one of the main things that I would disagree with is the defensive backs. You can't just say they're going to get better after 1 year of experience. They were a huge question mark last year for the defense, and it didn't show as much because Georgia had so much success sending pressure, and they had so much dominance in the front seven, so it didn't really matter. But they did end up getting exposed on a couple occasions. As far as Oregon goes, I'll just focus more on them. Like you mentioned, Bo Nix transferring from Auburn, of course. And I watched the spring game, and I'd have to say that the biggest takeaway I got from Bo Nix in the spring game was that he looked 10 times more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's just – or confident. I know it's just a spring game and all that stuff, but confidence is a huge thing, especially for a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And it's a new system. Different team, different environment. He's going to be in the Pac-12 this year, so I think that that's going to be a benefit for him, playing in a little bit less stiffer competition. But as far as this game's concerned, offensively, Oregon has a lot of weapons. They are losing their running back, but transfer Chase Cota is going to be a monster, big receiver. He's going to be a huge playmaker, and then also sophomore Seven McGee. Played 13 out of 14 games as a true freshman and was, just that jackknife for the offense, kick returner, punt returner. Would hand it to him, and he was catching passes. He's going to have a 10 times larger impact this season. So those are two playmakers that could cause the Georgia DBs trouble. And then also on the defensive side, one more thing. What you said about Bo Nix and the pressure is 100% right. What he did last year was just it was a colossal failure. And one of the things that I do think that he has on his side going into this game is Oregon has an amazing O-line, a veteran O-line who's been playing together for a very, very long time, and they're used to dominating, so they're not going to go and bend over. And I think that they're going to take this game as like a challenge, an opportunity to show the college football world what they can do, which I think that's what Oregon's going to do in general, and I'll get into a little bit more of that when I get into my prediction. Going to the defensive side of the ball, they have, of course, star linebacker Noah Sewell, who just stormed onto the scene this last year or two, and he came in with the other great linebacker Justin Flo, and I feel like during the recruitment process with those two guys, Justin Flo was like the big man everybody was talking about, the more popular name, and then because of injury and other things like that, Noah Sewell got the chance to play and just absolutely dominated. But I think both of those guys being able to play together, this is not an exaggeration. They very well could be the best young linebacker core in college football. And in a year or two, they could be, bar none, the best linebacker core in college football. I'm talking these guys is the future of, like, what a linebacker is. Like, back 10, 15, even, shorter time ago than that, these linebackers were big old huge guys, weighing 240 plus. Like, these days, linebackers have to be able to move laterally way more efficiently. They got to be able to guard slots, tight ends, and running backs on all these different angle routes, all these different other types of passing routes, right? But these guys are the future. I'm telling you, both of these guys are dominant. Noah Sewell, absolute ball hawk in the passing game, and whenever they send him on blitzes, he's an absolute machine. One-on-one, he's a nightmare against a lineman. You definitely don't want to have a tight end blocking him, any type of stuff like that. And the dude hits hard. Both linebackers set the tone early, and it's going to be. I look forward to watching them play. But going into this game with Georgia week one, like I was saying earlier, this is like Oregon's national championship. You know what I'm saying? This is their chance. If I'm Dan Lanning, I'm telling them nobody respects y'all. Everybody thinks that the point spread is 17.5, man. That's disrespectful if you're Oregon. You know what I'm saying? And the coach needs to be portraying that and get his boys fired up. And first game of the season, like you mentioned with Georgia, I think they definitely are going to have the championship hangover. And then losing 15 starters either way is going to have a huge impact on your team. And what you were talking about with Nakobe Dean, yeah, he's a great player and all that stuff, but his number one quality, we saw it in the national championship game, was his leadership. You know what I'm saying? And that is ginormous on a team, especially when you got a team full of 5 stars where everybody was big fish, small pond, right? I think that's going to have a huge impact on this game, and I definitely think that UGA is just too physical. They're up front. They're too big, and they're too talented to lose to Oregon, I believe. But all that being said, I think because it's going to be week one, UGA's. I think they're definitely going to start out slow, and I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. Which, I mean, that's not saying a lot because they won the national championship last year. So even if they go to the semis, that prediction is correct, right? But still, like I said, new team, 15 starters gone. That's huge. And so all those reasons, I think that I think Oregon's going to give them a run for their money. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because I am really, really impressed with Oregon's defense. And even though they're in the Pac-12, I think that their emotion has a huge impact on defense. I say it all the time. And 9 times out of 10, it rings true. This is going to be an emotional game for Oregon, and I'm not saying it's a trap game, but in the first half, UGA could definitely come out slow, thinking that they're the best team in college football, and Oregon's they're going to come out and roll over Oregon. They could definitely start out slow, but UGA is just too talented, too much size up on the front seven, and it doesn't, like you said, it's like plug and play with these guys, like the Alabamas, the Georgias, so. Too much talent, but I think it'll definitely be a close game and most likely a low-scoring game. I don't believe too much in Stetson Bennett. I kind of believe he bought into his own hype, and I don't think that's ever good for guys, especially whenever your persona is supposed to be humble. But anyways, yeah, I like UGA in a close one, but definitely do not sleep on Oregon. I think they could have a great season this year.
And one more thing, I know this video is getting a little longer than we anticipated it being, but I feel like you brought up the Stetson Bennett thing. I do think this team could very well, this Georgia team can very well go back to kind of how they were in 2018, 2019 with Jake Fromm. Stetson Bennett, he's not no elite quarterback. Everyone knows that. He's a good quarterback, but he's not going to be the one to, if the score is 40-40 and you're going, you're trading blows, possession after possession. I just don't see him being the guy to, just keep up with that. He's just not an elite passer, and that's fine. I mean, he's still a good quarterback. I see the scenario in this game. The reason I don't pick Georgia to cover the 17.5 is Georgia's just going to have to out-talent Oregon, I think, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to be taking a lot of deep shots or converting a lot of deep shots. I don't think it's going to be many explosive plays. I think it's going to be close in the first half, and I think Georgia might score a touchdown or two late by just running the ball and just by out-talenting Oregon up front, and that's just kind of how Georgia's been over the past few years and how they win a lot of their games, especially when they're playing teams that they have the talent advantage over. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. I know it's a little longer. We try to keep this under 10 minutes, but it's exceeded that. But we're going to be doing a lot more preview and predictions. College football season is right around the corner. I could not be more excited. We are only 2 weeks away from week 0, the week 0 matches. So I'm very excited, and so we'll definitely be getting up some of these big game preview and prediction videos out. If you have any suggestions for games you want us to cover down in the comments, please let us know down below. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.